Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this CRA meeting to order. We will begin with the invocation, and I yield to Councilman Suarez.
Thank you, Chair. It's my great pleasure to welcome someone to the podium who is no stranger to these chambers, Bishop Thomas Scott, who is the bishop at the 34th Street Church of God. He has been a former county commissioner, a former city council member, and an incredibly important voice in our community. Bishop Scott, if you could come on up here, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to this board and to Mike Suarez. It's always a pleasure to come back and be a part of this board in any way that I can, and thank you for the opportunity to come and bring the invocation. And these days, I don't put on a tie a whole lot, but as you see, I put on a tie for you all today, so please, I want you to recognize that I got all dressed up for everybody. But it's a joy to be able to come and share. So let's pray. Father, we are grateful as we come in your divine presence because your word tells us to acknowledge you in all of our ways and you'll give direction to our path. Today we pause to reflect upon your grace, your goodness, and your blessings to us as a community, as a nation. We pray for our nation. We pray for those who are in leadership in Washington. And then we pray for those millions of people today who are suffering because of the shutdown. We pray now that you will bring a close to this mess, that these people might be blessed and their lives might be enhanced and their families might prosper. Today we pray for the city council and we thank you for them as they deliberate and make important decisions for our community. I pray you give them wisdom and knowledge and insight. I pray you bless all that they do as they set policies for our community. We thank you now for the men and women who protect us every day, our police officers, our firefighters, paramedics, and others, Lord, who protect us and save lives. And so we thank you for them. Now, bless all of our elected officials in this county. And we pray now that all that we seek to do, that will always bring glory to you and that the people lives might be enhanced, their lives might be better because of the policies that are set by our elected officials. Thank you now for America. Continue to bless her. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Suarez. Here. Cohen.
Here.
Reddick. Here. Capeen.
Present.
Miranda.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
And Maniscalco.
Here. Before we begin, I'd like to yield a moment to Councilman Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the conclusion of the CRA meeting, I need to convene the City Council in session for 15 minutes for a special recognition, and it should last no more than about 10 or 15 minutes. Okay?
All right. All right, we will begin here with staff reports. We have monthly report for our CAC representative, Ms. Ahern of the Downtown CRA.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. As all of I'm Abby Doring-Ahern with the CAC for downtown. As you all know, there's plenty of exciting things happening downtown, and I love being part of that. I will be stepping in for Owen Lefebvre, who is term limiting off, coming up here soon, and we appreciate all of his efforts. So thank you for that. But I'll get started. I know you guys have a busy agenda. We had a great event that the partnership put on with Winter Village. They continue to expand it each year and bring more people in. The ice skating rink has been a hit, and they've moved it further into the park so that there's more of an experience, and I think they have big plans for next year to expand even into some other parks. Big Ray's Fish Camp and the Sail Plaza completion is planned for beginning of spring this year, and the west ramp near the flag deck should be done early March. The new restaurant Remedy behind Malio's is open and doing phenomenal. And the Fly Bar closed, although only temporarily. They plan to reopen somewhere else, and the new restaurant that's coming in there will be a Mediterranean Spanish cuisine with some local guys that have shown they're doing really well in Tampa, so we like that continued effort. Harpoon Harry's is wrapping up construction, and they should be open hopefully for Gasparilla. 15,000 square feet. You know downtown is really doing well when you can have a single restaurant at 15,000 square feet. We're excited for them. The site remediation for the City Hall parking lot should be complete middle of this month, and the groundbreaking is next month in February. Spring Hill Suites is negotiating with the city for the purchase of land that had been vacated. We're talking about reopening and dedicating the reconnection of East Harrison. There should be a small hotel of about 153 units. Riverwalk Tower has obtained some critical funding. They're no longer going to do the office component. It will be all residential with quite a bit of retail. So that's very exciting. And R.R. Simmons has been retained for the convention center improvements for the concession areas and DATS. So yet one more great step for the convention center and their expansion. SPP began work on the Old Water Street for utility and the public realm improvements. And again, can't say enough about the progression of their development. Mill Creek has restarted their design process for the Madeira up by the Times building. And the Downtown CAC is talking about a facade improvement program that would help property owners provide some funding to property owners upwards of maybe $50,000 for some of those properties that have been blighted for quite some time or are waiting in order to make the numbers work with rents versus the cost for improvement. There will be some stipulations in there that we're working on and we'll be bringing to you guys in the next several months. But it's very exciting. We hope that will clean up some of the older storefronts that have been sitting vacant for quite some time. And then, of course, Massey Park is planned and has identified funding, and we're just working on the final design elements of that. And hopefully you'll be able to ride over there on scooters soon. So a lot of fun things, and thank you for your support, and that's my update.
Any questions?
If I
Councilman
could,
Suarez?
Ms. Hearn, is the Massey Park changes, are they going to include some dog park features in there? I know that was one of the first things that we talked about when Brian Seal was at first involved trying to figure out what you do with Massey Park, and that the dog park was really necessary there.
Yes.
So I'm glad to see that's going to be part of that park.
We're very excited. You know, it's also a great shade park, so it will help when people want to spend an hour or two with their dogs. Curtis Hickson is very popular for that, as as is Julian B. Lane, but the shade there will also help keep people around and hanging out for a long time with their,
Yeah, because Curtis
Four-legged
Dixon is not
friends.
shaded where the dog
Yeah.
park is at. so.
yeah.
Thanks so much.
We'll get there, though. So,
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions?
Any other?
Nope.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. McDonough with our monthly report of CRA activities.
Good morning, Bob McDonough. Just a couple of quick notes. Again, we have the Children's Parade this weekend, so it's almost like a traffic advisory. We have to be prepared for that. We have on the 19th, the Black Heritage Festival at Curtis Dixon Park. In the morning, they have a run and boot camp, and then in the afternoon, they have music. The 26th, we have Gasparilla. As Abby was talking about, I've toured Harpoon Harry's. I think you'll be very impressed when you see it. It's a labor of love. This owner took 6 months longer than he thought to build it out, and I think he's invested almost $8 million in the space. So it's pretty spectacular.
Mike suggested that we have a Harpoon Harry event where people could actually harpoon me.
Well, I was just going to remove the apostrophe S, that's all. I didn't,
Things are never quite as civil as one would like during the election season.
Let's see what we can.
At February 12th, and you'll be getting invitations of the groundbreaking for the hotels across the street. And Monday, we have the MLK Parade in East Tampa, so that's always a big fun event. And Ybor is close to finishing up their vision plan selection, so you should be getting something in the not-too-distant future on a contract for that. Again, out of all the CRAs, probably the greatest changes in the last 10 years have been in Ybor, this great shift to residential. And so they're going to change their vision plan to reflect that. And then starting the 12th, again, everybody who pays attention to traffic, we have Hamilton starting at the Strauss Center, and that's booked every single show. I think it closed out in record time.
Mr. King.
I'm glad you brought that up. I did want to ask you one question. The road, the construction that is scheduled to take place, the realignment of the roads down there, that construction's not going to begin while Hamilton is going on.
No, it's
is it?
not.
Okay.
Actually, that developer is meeting with the Strauss folks next week to show them the final plan and talk about timing and all those things.
Okay, thank you.
And basically, the checklist of things that they wanted are reflected in this, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no, he knows better than that. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. McDonough?
question. Mr. McDonough, it's got on here spring of 2019 for the sale and the fish camp.
Yes.
Spring in relation to what? Florida spring, what is it?
April.
What are we talking about?
Talking April, May.
April or May? Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, we have public comment. Mr. Martine, do you have the?
Essentially, I'll wing it. Public comment is allowed for 3 minutes, I believe. And we encourage folks that are going to be speaking on any particular item to wait until afterwards to speak on that item. Otherwise, you can speak at public comments. We ask that you refrain from making direct comments about any members of the board, and that you observe a decorum throughout. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If you'd like to speak, please approach the lectern and state your name.
Morning, Connie Burton. Hearing the report from the downtown CRA almost make you jealous when you're comparing it to where I live. And I'm speaking about East Tampa, that is riddled with terms such as a blighted community, property study deteriorating, money's being spent for not what the community is asking for in this present time, but a CRA that is being led by city staff off of a 2009 strategic plan. 10 years backwards, and we can't move forward. And they think it's all right. They think it's all right to move our community as if we're still on a horse and a buggy. When we see all of this wonderful flourishment downtown, and the main thing that East Tampa have going for itself is a ton of roundabouts and a bunch of retention ponds. 15 years in the game. 15 years of having monies set aside so a vision can be planned and we cannot move forward. Right now, presently, I don't have to keep talking about Domain Homes because we all know what happened there. But even when the CRA spends its own money, the city staff cannot lead it in the proper way. And the only kind of like way in which we can express our outrage is coming here, because I don't even know how some of these city staff person that is leading the East Tampa CRA is still able to retain employment. It's a disgrace, because every morning our children are waking up looking for a better future and they can't see it. Right now, this book contains over 6,000 people that have left area code 33605 in 10 that is formerly incarcerated. I told it around because people want me to look up and find out where their family members are. But you know what I know for a certainty? Most of their family members got to come back to 33605 and 33610. And we don't have a damn thing to offer them. So we got a CRA that has been on its failed agenda for the last 15 years, with maybe 15 more years to go. We're working from a 2009 strategic plan with no vision to move forward, and it's supposed to be okay. Moving forward for me, in the spirit of Dr. King, is to cause nothing but chaos for the leadership of the CRA and the staff of the city of Tampa if they cannot move in a more progressive fashion, and we can come down here and say how wonderful it is for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Uhuru. Mentesnot, Tampa, Florida. Over a year and 6 months ago, wrote something in reference to Bob Buckhorn and anybody having any kind of connection to him and how they're not going to prosper. And we see what happened to Zelnick. This over a year and 6 months ago, wrote this about Bob Buckhorn around here fronting about a statue. Fronting about a statue like he in love with African people, but calling black women bitches. Fronting about a statue, but calling for the lynching of an African man. Fronting about a statue, but they taking over all our communities and doing all kind of wretched things to us. As Sister Connie just said, 6,000 people away from our neighborhoods for what? Mostly victimless crimes. They doing ethnic cleansing. That's what it's called. There's some nasty words, and they don't like you to come down here and discuss it. They wasting money, throwing money away. A bicycle lane. You can look out here all day and don't see one bicycle go through it. $40 million in Riverfront Park, and our communities look like straight garbage. Harassing people. And every single person sitting on that board that want to be treated like kings and queens, you can't address somebody personally. What kind of craziness is that? What kind of stupidness is that? It's totally ignorant. It's totally ignorant when you tell an adult. That's what white folks used to do to us in the past. You can't look at a white woman direct. You can't walk by the sidewalk and look at a white man, or else you might get slapped or might get lynched. And now y'all sit here in a modern society and tell people you can't address people that's sitting there. They're human beings just like anyone else. They're human beings just like anyone else. But they don't want to be called out individually because they don't want to be called out of what they're not doing for their district. You can't address them personally. Who in the, come on, man, be for real. While they sit here and waste the taxpayers' money. $1 billion deficit. And they steady wasting taxpayers' money on everything from sports teams to sports arenas to just stupidness to stupid transportation that's going nowhere, and it's going on and on and on. And then they harassing people, $2,500 in traffic cites in parking tickets, and wrote each one of y'all a detailed letter of what these people are doing wrong, and it can't be solved because y'all have a hatred. You have a specific hatred for African people. And it shows in you, it shows in your actions. It ain't about me. It ain't about the next person. It ain't about the next person. It's about the race. It's ethnic cleansing. It's genocide and ethnic cleansing. And y'all got a hatred. It ain't about Tony Daniel. Tony Daniel's a nice guy. Walk around my neighborhood.
I'm one of the nicest people in my neighborhood. They love me everywhere I go. But it's a hatred y'all have for black people, and that needs to change.
Thank you very much. Next speaker?
I thought the Millhouse hearing was this morning, so that was my fault. But
Yeah.
while I'm here,
You have to state your name.
oh, Dana, my name's Dana Lazarus, sorry. I just want to uplift what the people before me were just talking about. In my urban planning classes, when we read about blight and the slums and things like that, I don't understand why that language is used. I understand why it was used. I don't know why it's still used, because it was very clearly biased against people of color, but especially African American black people. You know, studying planning really shows how racism is built into the land. For 400 years, our country was very blatantly racist, openly, and with a feeling of being justified, like it was all right to be racist. And this only changed legally in 1964, which was not very long ago. So there's a lot of problems that especially local government has been at fault for creating. And I think that we need to be a lot better at making sure that there is a community vision and that it is led by the community, like the actual community leaders and the people on the ground in those communities. And I also think that we need to be more conscious of the harm that our predecessors in our very seats have created, and be more intentional about fixing that harm. So I just thought I would repeat that, and figuring out ways to give the community better control, whether it's more of an advisory role. There's a thing called Sherry Arnstein's Ladder of Engagement, and the goal is moving boards and advisory committees up that ladder so that the community isn't just being manipulated, isn't just being tokenized, but at some point has a level of control over their own neighborhoods and their own communities. So I really encourage you to look into Sherry Arnstein, Arnstein, Ladder of Engagement. It's a good tool. So are the Jemez principles, Jemez principles of democratic participation. That's another tool to look into. But yeah, blight, really? These are people's neighborhoods. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Pastor Frank Williams, and I've come down here many times before. And I came down here one time, and I opened up my Bible to read some scriptures out of it. And you all told me, said, nope, I couldn't do that. But let me tell you all something. I can't read the Bible here in your courtroom, or your facility. But yet y'all can let a sexual pervert sit up there and jury. That's not right. It got to stop. And if it's not right, now I'm gonna tell you, all of y'all will be guilty for letting a child molester sit up here to want to judge us when he's guilty himself.
Stop.
No, I can't stop because it's been all on the news. How you gonna tell me to stop when it's all on the news? It's on national TV. You can't tell me to stop. You're the one who need to stop because it's not justifiable. And you all need to stop doing what you're doing. Treat us black folks equally. And he's guilty, and he had no business sitting up there trying to judge me or nobody else. Now, the man that should be mayor of this country should be this man right here. He should be the mayor running for mayor. But y'all so racist and hate black folks so much, y'all become ridiculous here in the city of Tampa. And talking about y'all want to be mayor, want to be city council, want to be city commission and all that stuff, y'all have no place. Because y'all got to judge the people just as they are. Now, you told me to stop. Now, let me tell you something. Are you looking at the color of my skin? And you want to tell me to stop because I'm not a white man? No, you ain't gonna judge
The
Frank
longest
Williams
3
like
minutes
that.
of my life.
I'm a preacher. I'm a preacher, and I preach the gospel truth. And if you don't want to hear it, that's your business. But one thing about it, we are all citizens of the United States of America. And y'all call this a great nation. But it's not no great nation. Not the way y'all treat us. And that's not right. And somehow or another, somebody need to go to court and get this thing right, ratified for y'all to do right for all people. The same people come here every week. You ain't gonna see a bunch of black folks sitting up here. You know why? Because y'all don't want to hear them. Y'all don't want to hear me, and I'm a preacher. And I got to preach the gospel truth, whether you want to hear me or not. But one thing about it, if y'all gonna let this man sit up there and try to judge me because I preach the gospel truth, then y'all got a problem. And this thing got to end. I don't care what color he is. The truth is the light. And we got to respect the light of God. Have mercy, Jesus.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Nope. All right, we are gonna go to some required approvals. Item number 3.
Good morning, Council. Bob McDonough. This is an update of the development agreement we have with the Heights, and it has been reflected really in the rezoning that you have been participating in. I think the second approval comes this evening. So basically what it is, it's mirroring what goes on in your zoning approval.
So we're gonna see this again tonight?
The rezoning, yes. You had the first hearing 2 weeks ago, and the final hearing is this evening. What they did was change some of the densities and allowances in their trip generation.
Excuse me, Chair. Yeah, but there's been no changes since the first read on this before. Yes, ma'am.
Kristen Moore, Legal Department. I'm here to confuse you guys and make you double check the date. Just kidding. What I did pass out to you, there is one change. There was a change to the ownership and maintenance agreement to reflect some changes in the transportation schedule. That is the only change, but other than that, it is identical to what you heard on first reading on December 20th.
Well, give us an example of what you're talking about. What is the change specifically?
The change to the ownership and maintenance agreement gives a different schedule for some of the transportation improvements. There's a light and signalization, and that's in agreement with our transportation department. They're working together to time the signal with some improvements, along with DOT improvements that are coming in the area.
It is a procedural change or an administrative change in terms of timing, as opposed to it being something specifically different. That was the plan that was presented to us previously. Is that correct?
Yes, it's just a procedural change in how our transportation department is coordinating with the developer for those
Okay,
changes.
I just want to make sure it's a scheduling change. There's no other changes that are more substantive.
No,
Okay.
other than that is identical to what was presented on December 20th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Move the resolution.
We have a motion from Councilman Cohen with a second from Councilman Suarez. All in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously.
Again, item number 4, and that is asking you to make 2 appointments to the Downtown CRA Community Advisory Committee, Michael Avalos and Shannon Rodriguez.
Move approval. We have a motion from Councilman Cohen with a second from Councilman Suarez. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? No. Passes unanimously. Number 5.
Number 5 is asking you to make 2 appointments to the Channel District, and you have 3 applicants.
For how many positions?
We're asking for 2 appointments, and there are 3 applicants for the 2. And I believe at least 2 of the people are here today, if you would like to hear from them.
All right. On this ballot, we have 2 people. If you're in the audience for the Downtown CRA CAC and would like to,
It's the next one that we're voting on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have 3 applicants for this one. For the Channel District CRA. If you'd like to make a presentation and come up, please do. There you go.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Good morning. My name is Michael Leeds. I'm a resident of the Channelside District, 1209 East Cumberland Avenue in the Towers Channelside. I've been a member the past 2 years of the advisory committee. I've enjoyed it. I'm a real estate developer by trade, and I'm hoping to help contribute to the growth and the future shaping of the Channelside District. Any questions?
Nope. Any questions? Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak that has applied for this today?
I just want to say for the record that Mr. Scaglione actually called my office earlier in the week to say that he couldn't be here this morning due to a prior commitment.
He called mine also.
All right. Anybody else? All right. So we'll take a moment and vote here. And if you could fold your ballots up and pass them to the left.
Oops, sorry. I only want one. We are Dave.
Supervisor of elections doing her duties.
She come in my way.
All right, let's go to new business information reports by CRA members. Mr. Vieira?
None, sir.
Mr. Miranda?
None, sir.
I'd like to say something. I apologize for adding fuel to the fire. It won't happen again.
Sure. Councilman Reddick? Councilman Cohen? Councilman Suarez?
No, not at this time. So maybe if I speak long enough, we'll be able to get this thing done. We'll be able to go forward.
If I could make a clarification, the East Tampa CRA, their community, is in the process of getting ready to issue an RFP for an update of their plan. And the speaker who was here talking about that was at the meeting I was at a few weeks ago where that was discussed, that the community said, okay, you know, we've taken these steps, the community has made some changes and would like to, again, they have practically a whole new board. And so this is already in process, and the person who was saying that, you know, the community isn't listened to, was stating things that she knew not to be true because she was in the meeting with me. I find it a little disingenuous when people come up and say things that they know are not true to this board, because we are listening to the community, and the community is involved in this process.
Councilman Schwartz, no? All right, we have our clerk, Ms. Shirley Fox Knowles.
Good morning, Shirley Fox Knowles, City Clerk. The two individuals selected for the Channel District CRA Community Advisory Committee are Michael Lees and Andy Scaglione.
Very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right, we will have a motion to receive and file documents. We have a motion from Councilman Schwartz and a second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye. All right. We will adjourn and reconvene now as the Tampa City Council, and I'll hand the gavel to Chairman Reddick.
Would they have to re-change everything or start anew? Okay.
Do you need a minute? Or?
Yeah, I think they do. Dwayne, they're gonna have to change we're gonna have to stop and then start again? Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yes, sir, Thomas. Thank you for your nice words today. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. How you doing? Long time. Doing okay. You know, it's an amazing thing. Last time here, Julia was here.
No, yeah, it's free speech. Oh, excuse me.
The attorneys and everything. Good to see you. Good to see you.
He's disappeared.
You doing all right? Hey, you doing all right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm just telling you. Is that right? I told our thing has changed so much, you know, since the last time I was here and everything. How you doing? Yeah. It's always good to stop back by and see everybody. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, Julia now is an attorney for our sports department board, so I see her once a month. Yeah, so I see her once a month. All right.
I don't know, I just saw them move over here. Stand here and just like tie him down, put chains on him, be like, ah!
Well, welcome aboard, and thank you for being here.
commendation? What's going on? Oh, who's doing it? Did anybody invite him down? Oh, he's got a cake. There can be.
Suarez. Cohen. Maniscalco. Capeen.
Present.
Miranda.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
And Reddick.
Here. Okay, the acting chair recognizes Councilman Reddick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a special day for us. For 7 3/4 years, I've had this young man working with me, and he done something before I can do it, and that is to find a new job. I haven't started looking yet, and he already, you know, I know I got him to May 1, but I got the word from him that he got a great offer that was made to him, and he decided to accept it. And I don't know why he want to go in the cold weather up in Baltimore, but I wish him well. And we want to just take this opportunity to acknowledge him and recognize him for all the great things he have done, being employed here with the city of Tampa and being employed in my office. And as I look at this accommodation, and it's wonderful how it's put together, because it's a legislative aid, it's extraordinaire, super dad, best friend, confidant, leader, mentor, kind human, Monday morning sports analyst that I didn't know, and work brother. Now, I didn't know he was a sports analyst. Oh, yeah. And it's you know, normally I attempt not to read the body of words, but I think on this occasion it might be appropriate to read it because they're very kind. The 7 members of the Tampa City Council, along with their legislative aides, have been extremely fortunate to have had Cedric McCray as a member of their team. Cedric is a leader, a person we all respect, admire, but more importantly, he's a friend. We reflect on what has almost been 8 years together, and we're proud of his many accomplishments. The community of East Tampa has had a champion in Cedric. His warmth, attention to detail, and his determination to fix problems have made him a household name. He treats everyone with respect and will turn over every stone until he finds a solution or alternative path to manage what can sometimes be a delicate situation. And much as we are elated for his new journey, we are forced to sit here and reflect on all the moments we have shared together, the laughs, the parades, the council meeting, the meals, the shared stories, and with a sight, we say from the bottom of our hearts, we will miss you. Tampa City Council and their staff have been honored to have you serve alongside us. We wish you well and look forward to seeing your extraordinary future accomplishments. We present this commendation to you on the 17th day of January 2019. Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you.
Turn it over to you.
Thank you. I don't think it was necessarily necessary, but I'm not surprised. I just want to say thank you to the council members. It's been a pleasure to work with you over these 7 3/4 years. Looking forward to taking my skill set to that municipality up north that is in some dire need, following conversations with folks up there. But I will always hold my experiences here at the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County very fondly, and look forward to coming back at some point. So thank you very much. Councilman Reddick, I appreciate you for bringing me in out of the cold in 2011. And hopefully I've done right by you and the residents of District 5. So I just want to say thank you, sir. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Bring you back in 2020.
Thank you very much.
Members.
Anyone wish to say anything? Anyone from council or
Yes.
staff or anybody?
In our work family, Cedric is like the favorite brother. You're smart, you're funny, you keep us in line, and there's no one else I'd like to talk football with on Monday morning.
I know you wrote that, didn't you?
I had a read it. Anyways, I just want to tell you I love you, we're going to miss you, and congratulations. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
This is my Frank Reddick early warning system.
That's funny.
When I would have something of import to talk to with Frank, and Frank had already had a tough morning or something, Cedric could go, hey, why don't you come back later? and was always very professional in helping me know when there was something out in the field that needed to be addressed, and with certain constituents that were unhappy, and they're out there, and let's get it fixed. So he always paid attention to the people out there and made sure that their requests were handled as expeditiously as possible in a very professional manner. And he provided a lifesaver to me because I was at a formal event and I had a bow tie that looked like was tied with a mix master. And Bo Grand here fixed it for me. So thank you, Cedric.
Thank you.
And best wishes for your future.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for, we don't know, we're kind of like mid-season replacements, and you just saved me. You always have my back, and you've been awesome. Thank you for taking a chance on some new kids.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Anyone else?
If they stop us?
Anyone else want to speak publicly? Okay. Councilman Cohen.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie.
Cedric is like a little brother.
I know it.
He's a nuisance, and he talks bad about me. He told me, I asked him, Cedric, where are you going? Debbie, touch your nose. Touch your nose, Debbie. and stay in your lane. I was like, well, that's a woman, we need to know where you're going. So when people ask me, I can tell them. But, and also I'm gonna miss him because his brother lived kind of by my hometown. So he calls me Union Springs. So I'm gonna miss my update from Union Springs every morning. But as a friend, as a coworker, as a brother, I have enjoyed working with you, not just at the City Council, but also on the City of Tampa Black History Committee. So we're gonna have to find us a new scholarship chair. But I told him to please keep his phone on. And when we call, please answer. Thank you, Cedric.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Bishop.
Mr. Chairman, I rise just to say that while we are indeed glad to see Cedric make this next step in his life, but this is a great loss for the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. Tremendous man. He has added so much to District 5 through Councilman Reddick, and well, even before that, you know, he's a school teacher for my daughter, and then he went on to the county commission there as an aide, and then here, and so he has really been a tremendous asset to this community, to this county, and I think we all recognize that we are experiencing a great loss today, while we are indeed celebrating and happy for the step up and transition that he's making. But I rise to say that today that this is, it is caught me by surprise, really, because I just found out this morning. But we are happy for him, for his family. We wish him well, and our prayers are with him. But I think we recognize today that this is a huge loss for this whole community. So we just want to say we wish you well. Our prayers are with you.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
One last thing, let me just say that I want to thank Lorena for helping coordinate this for me. I was at the other office and couldn't get away to do none of this, and she helped me out, so thank you.
All right, members of council. If we want to just go down.
You know, Cedric, you have a very unique background and a very unique sense of everything. We talked a little bit about the sports. I want to tell you, you're moving to a place that takes their sports seriously. You better not wear that Miami Heat paraphernalia up there. And by the way, you almost said almost exactly what LeBron James said when he left Cleveland. You're bringing your skills to Baltimore. So I want to point out that being someone that grew up in Florida and going up to the very, very cold part of the north, I'm not sure how you're going to enjoy that part of it. I think you'll enjoy the city of Baltimore. It's a unique place. I've had some experience and some time spending with the president of their city council. And I just want to tell you, they're tough folks. He went to a baseball game with me at Yankee Stadium, and he had his Baltimore Orioles cap on and was chastising the crowd and telling them how the Baltimore Orioles are so much better than the Yankees. So get prepared. I will say that all that Miami Dolphins jerseys, all the other stuff that you have, you're going to have to get rid of it, or at least put it in a closet so that no one else sees it. And I'm going to miss our talks about, everything that has to deal with our government, with our city, all the funny stories that we share with each other, teaching our interns which Denzel Washington movie is the best, or even to describe who Denzel Washington is. As we get older, we know that we have to leave something behind for the people that are working with us and we're trying to train and mentor. And you have done that every single step of the way with every one of our interns, every one of our staff. You have been one of the classiest people I've ever met in my life. And that's across the board. In any part of my work experience, any part of my life, I have never seen someone as classy as you. You handle everything with the kind of same approach that you should. You are the epitome of grace under pressure, because there is no, and I know I'm going to have arguments from some of the other council aides, but there is no office that has as much activity and as much issues as District 5, and you handle it so well. Whoever replaces both Frank Reddick and you as the legislative aide are going to have a lot of work to do. And I don't think that any candidates out there realize what they're in for, because you're not going to be here to mentor them and you're not going to be here to train them.
Right.
I hope that you and your wonderful wife Apu and your two beautiful daughters, who we're going to miss more than anything, we're going to miss seeing them here at council, and their wonderful faces and their smiles and how incredible they are, and we're going to miss seeing them grow up. We hope that you will enjoy Baltimore, but don't forget about your family down here.
Absolutely.
And we are your family, and we will continue to be. Good luck on your new job.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Everyone has made reference to the fact that we really are a family around here, and one of the things that we do is we eat together on a fairly regular basis. And those times in the in the kitchen and in the conference room is when we really talk to each other as people. And one of the things that wasn't mentioned today about Cedric is that he may be a great sports analyst, he's also a great political analyst and a tremendously astute, I think both student and commentator about things that are going on, both here and in Pinellas County. And I've always enjoyed your observations as we live through different political events that take place. Cedric's office is right next to mine, and over the past 8 years, I can't tell you how many times I've walked by and heard him on the phone with somebody. And what always impressed me is that Cedric always takes the time to explain what's going on, to try to get to the bottom of things. He's extremely methodical and patient with people. And I have to tell you, Councilman Reddick, that so many times I've walked by and thought to myself, wow, Councilman Reddick would be so pleased to hear this conversation that's going on between Cedric and this constituent, because you treat the people that call here and that have issues here with exactly the kind of respect and deference that citizens deserve and expect. And honestly, the people of Baltimore are very, very lucky, because they're going to get what is no doubt going to be a huge improvement over whatever they have now. So, thank you, and you know that I wish you all the best.
Appreciate it.
Well, Cedric, you are a gentleman in every sense of the word, and I've known you now for about 5 or 6 years, and I'm proud to call you my friend. You've always been professional and straightforward and honest, and we really are going to miss you. And I often reference being on City Council and being in City Hall as being a member of this family, because as Councilman Cohen and Councilman Schwartz have already said, you know, we eat together, we see each other on a regular basis. You know, I mean, it's more than just work. You know, friendships, true friendships, are built. And when I first heard about you, you know, relocating, I asked, you know, I go, is this the right Cedric? He goes, how many Cedrics do you know? And just you. But it is a tremendous loss to the city of Tampa. You know, where you are going, they are, you know, they are blessed to, you know, to have, you know, this opportunity with you. But we are going to miss you, and we will keep in touch. And we wish you the best, because you have a very bright future. You've always had you know, your tomorrows are always bright. But I know good things are going to continue for you and your family. And just know we won't forget you, and, you know, we appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Cedric. You know, you have a stunningly original mind, in that you never, ever waver from that calmness and that respect that you show to everyone. To me, it's amazing to be able to have that perspective all the time. And as I told you when I talked to you on the phone, I'm happy for you and I'm sad for us. But, by the way, I was born in Baltimore. But we only stayed there 2 years. And that was an accident that I was born there. Anyway, I wish you the very, very best for you, your wife, and your beautiful 2 daughters. I know it's a move that's important for your family, and we can't wait to see you back in Florida, particularly in Tampa. Thank you.
Cedric, you know, 147 people move in daily to the Tampa Bay area. Blind Bloomberg report, not my report. So now we're down to 146, and you're leaving. So I got to call Bloomberg and report it. So what I'm saying is, 8 years, or just about 8 years, really seems like 8 days. Because when everything is running smooth, when the engine has enough fuel, and you take care of the engine by upkeep and changing things, it's part of what you do. All of you here, all the aides, are the true representatives, because you get the first call from all the constituents. We get the second call, but the first call comes to the aides. And what I've seen in what I call the North Wing and the East Wing, there is no difference, because other council members have already mentioned why there's no difference. You see the problem we have in other parts of the country, in federal government, that they don't know each other. They don't eat together. The kids don't go to the same school together. They don't sit in PTAs. They don't go to church together. But here, it's a little different because we eat together, we see each other socially, and that's what makes a difference, that you have understanding about what everybody's about. That's what we have a problem with in Washington. But you're getting close to Washington. Baltimore and Washington, just a very, very many short miles away. So, like was mentioned before, I heard a rumor that it really was not going to go work for government. I heard that the Baltimore Orioles are so bad in baseball that you were the starting second baseman. And that you got a nice fat contract to play 1 year with a no cut. Is that true?
I wish.
Well, that's what I heard, because they told me you were a very good baseball player when you were a little younger. But they were looking for some stability at second base to turn the double play. But no, I've worked with you, Mary's worked with you, all of us have worked with you, and what was said is all factual. You don't flutter, you don't get shook up, you handle those that are screaming, those that are not screaming, and believe me, you do get them, because I've heard them from my office. And it's an honor to have the privilege to have served with you and with Mr. Reddick. I've enjoyed it very much, and the future belongs to those who wants to make a future. And your girls are beautiful, you got a beautiful family, and God bless you, and I know you're doing this for the future of your family, and that's what life is about. That's what my father and mother did for us. That's what all the parents did for the ones that are sitting here, and for everybody. And when you have that, you can't fail, because you have an uplift and a goal to go for. So God bless you. We love you. The work you've done here has been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And Cedric, I obviously echo a lot of what's been said. I just wanted to make two basic points, which is number one, something I've always been impressed by you, which is your temperament and your restraint and your diplomacy with people, with everybody. Whether it's a constituent who's being nice, a constituent who's being not too kind to you, whether it's somebody whose political opinions you would disagree with or potentially find offensive. You're always very diplomatic with them, and you're always very civil with them. You're always very restrained with them. I can just tell, and I've always admired you for that, because we need more of that in public service and in government service, and that's certainly something that you have. Temperament is something that you can't buy. Temperament is not necessarily something that you grow. Those situations may affect our temperament one way or another, but I think it's just something you were born with and that you championed, and that is obviously a wonderful thing. Second is, you know, the concept of government and public service. I think all of us here really are people who are here to serve the public. And for many of us, maybe potentially we can make more in the private sector, but we're here because we want to make a difference. And I hope that your wife and your daughters know that you really are that public servant, that individual who goes because you want to through an arm of the public sector that has such a relationship with the people and everything from sanitation to parks to transportation, that you want to be that representative and that voice on a one-to-one level in dealing with the people. I mean, how much more of a humanitarian or patriotic or civic-minded notion of public service, something that a lot of people scoff at these days, because a lot of people take a look at people going into public sector and they make the worst assumptions just because of people's experiences and the way that people spin them. But people like you really give public service the best face possible, because you do it for the right reasons. And just knowing you and being a person who, before I got elected 2 years ago, I was in the private sector for all of my working life. A person like you could really clean up in the private sector. I mean it, because we could use a lot of restraint and diplomacy, etc. But again, you're here because you want to serve, and I salute that 100%. So God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for the good of the order, including in the public? Councilman Reddick.
Take a picture with council and
Yes. Yep, let's do it. Oh, no,
We'll take a picture. We'll
Oh, I guess we are adjourned. Are we adjourned? I should say that we're adjourned.